You worked the long corporate hours, accumulated a respectable liquid cash buffer, and stored it safely in your bank account. So why does your purchasing power still feel like it's quietly evaporating while you sleep? By every traditional benchmark of financial prudence, you did everything right. You didn't gamble your savings on volatile speculation, you avoided high-interest consumer debt, and you kept your capital strictly insulated. Yet, as you audit your actual balance sheets at midnight, a cold, deeply disorienting reality sets in. You are not getting ahead. Your net worth is completely static, paralyzed on a stationary plateau while your real-world purchasing power quietly evaporates into the air. The terrifying truth of today's economic grid is that keeping your money sitting still is no longer a defensive safety measure, it is a guaranteed, slow-motion liquidation of your future freedom. You have entered the passive erosion matrix. My name is Nick, and I deconstruct the hidden structural friction points between mathematical economics and human psychology. If you've reached the point where your bank balance looks impressive on paper, but your daily life is still completely tethered to a corporate timecard, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Because the illusion of static cash safety is the most heavily romanticized, dangerous trap in personal finance today. Traditional commentary conditions us to believe that accumulating a pool of static dollars is the end goal of financial discipline. They teach you to build the reservoir, but they never teach you how to turn that reservoir into an active compounding engine. To break free from this mid-tier suspension, we must look past the superficial vanity of bank account balances and analyze the cold neurobiology of deferred capital deployment. Human psychology naturally seeks certainty. When you see a stable 5-figure or 6-figure number sitting inside a digital checking application, your brain registers a temporary wave of relief. But that feeling of safety is an optical illusion. Let's dismantle the raw mathematical economics of this invisible tax on your liquid capital. Money is not a static object, money is economic energy. And like any form of energy, its utility is determined exclusively by its velocity. When you allocate $20,000, $50,000, or $100,000 into a standard bank repository earning a nominal interest rate, your brain treats that capital with massive respect. However, when macro inflation and rising costs operate at 6 to 8% annually, your static pool is actively shrinking in purchasing power every single day. The banking system takes your stagnant deposit, leverages it out at higher velocity rates across institutional markets, and generates compounding returns for their own balance sheet, while handing you back a fraction of a percent. They turn your active discipline into their permanent passive income, while you remain chained to the corporate desk. This behavioral paralysis is directly fueled by a cognitive distortion known as loss aversion. Evolution has wired the human brain to fear losses far more than it values potential gains. When you consider moving your hard-earned capital out of a safe repository and deploying it into productive ownership assets, your brain instantly triggers an alarm bell. It hyper-focuses on the short-term volatility of the market, interpreting temporary price shifts as immediate financial danger. To avoid this discomfort, you choose the comfortable alternative, leaving your money locked inside a static account. But what your brain fails to calculate is that by avoiding short-term volatility, you are choosing guaranteed, long-term capital erosion. You are trading the temporary emotional discomfort of price fluctuations for the permanent loss of your time sovereignty. Imagine two professionals earning the exact same income. The first professional acts as a traditional saver, keeping a $50,000 cash cushion inside a standard repository. Over a 10-year period, macro cost of living adjustments erode its purchasing power down to a fraction. The second professional understands the physics of capital. They maintain a lean emergency buffer and aggressively deploy their remaining margin into compounding ownership structures that yield a historically conservative 7 to 8% real return. In 10 short years, their capital generates an independent stream of economic velocity that begins to offset their baseline expenses. They have fundamentally decoupled their survival requirements from active corporate labor. The first professional built a comfortable cage out of static dollars. The second professional built an active escape hatch out of asset velocity. This structural difference completely changes your relationship with your career. When your capital has zero velocity, you are an economic prisoner to your current employer. You cannot comfortably ask for the compensation you deserve or push back on unreasonable corporate demands because your survival logic is driven by the fear of income disruption. You normalize toxic work environments because you need the corporate machine infinitely more than the machine needs you. However, when your money is actively compounding in ownership structures, your psychological baseline completely shifts. You possess structural leverage. You carry yourself with genuine confidence, and you gain the clarity required to notice high upside opportunities. True financial freedom is never measured by how much static cash you can stack inside a bank vault. It is measured exclusively by the breathing room between your fixed liabilities and the fluid generation rate of your liquid investments. Breaking out of the passive erosion matrix demands an immediate, ruthless re-engineering of your financial architecture. You must stop treating your net worth statement as a static trophy to be admired inside a vault. Money sitting still is not wealth, it is raw, high-octane economic fuel waiting to be actively deployed. Automate your asset velocity at the absolute beginning of every month, transferring your liquid margin into productive, compounding ownership assets the exact second your salary clears, completely removing your risk-averse brain from the deployment loop. Smash the optical illusion of static cash safety. Reject the institutional traps designed to freeze your capital, and treat your active income not as a security blanket, but as the raw leverage required to construct your ultimate escape hatch. Stop playing a rigged game designed to value static status over real economic mobility. Your future self does not care about the temporary comfort of a safe, silent cage, they care about absolute, uncompromised economic mobility.